I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:34 p.m. Let's move into roll call. Eric Bennett.
Here.
Joey Bryant.
Here.
Maddie Crowell.
Here.
Julia Felici.
Here.
Shelby Hamlin. Alex Horning.
Here.
Dr. Martin Kennedy. Lisa Lampkins.
Here.
Evan Martinovich.
No longer.
I didn't look at the longer.
All right. Danae Skiles.
Here.
Patrick Stanton.
Here.
Stephanie Tretchell.
Here.
Jeanette Webster.
Here.
Moving into the approval of this week's agenda, could you review that, please, Joey?
We did get an email that requests 1839, the PRSSA Regional Conference. They're removing that request. They had a number of members who were no longer going, and so they have sufficient funding. So we will not have that under the request or under the requested voting. We still do have down there, though, 1840 is requesting to vote tonight based on timing.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this week's agenda. Eric moves. Maddie seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving into the approval of last meeting's minutes, could you review that, please? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Julia moves. Jeanette seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving into the reports for this week, I have no reports for you guys.
And as we give reports, Gary can go get food. Take a moment to go get a few things. Did you want to start with?
I have more, so why don't you
Okay. We did get a request from Film. Do you have the email? A request that just came in. Actually, just came in today. They're requesting to come tonight, but timing-wise, that wouldn't work. The reason I'm bringing it before you all is it's coming here and it's outside of our normal purview or our normal guidelines because the event is next week on the 6th. And so them just submitting it today is not within the 2-week guidelines. However, it's up to the committee on whether or not you still want to hear the request coming next week. And it is to attend, I don't remember what BEA stands for, but a festival conference for film studies. Broadcasting Educators Association Festival Conference within there. Part of the rationale in terms of asking for the extenuating circumstances is that one of the faculty members submitted a consideration which they found out found out last quarter that they did have that accepted for an award, and they weren't able to solidify what student was available to attend until finals week. And so some of the rest of it was really just based on their workload and pieces, but it's up to the committee on whether or not you all would like to hear it next week. Does not mean you all would approve it per se, but since it's outside of our guidelines, you all have to vote to say whether or not we would bring it forward.
Did you say how much it was?
I don't have it.
I believe it's roughly around $4,000. Yes or no?
Is this discussion right now?
No.
All right. Jeanette.
I personally, based on the facts, we're in spring quarter now. We don't have a ton of money left over, and we know that a lot of people are asking for big chunks of money that are within the guidelines. Understandably, it is extenuating circumstances, but I personally feel like we should stick to what we've kind of set in stone, black and white paper, that this is the way it should be. So, no personal feelings.
Does anyone have a differing opinion? Because we don't have to vote if it's a no. I just have to have a vote if we're allowing them to go outside of our guidelines.
Eric.
We have made exceptions for other groups on campus with late, because of extenuating circumstances, requests. So I think we should consider this at least.
Julia.
If they knew finals week, why didn't they submit it before today is my only question. They've had like more than today to submit it, so I feel like
They are, well, and I'm not sure I can answer that exactly, but just so you guys are aware, it is in Vegas, and so I think we're trying to figure out all the expenses associated with that trip. I do know that they had been working on that.
Any further discussion? Do we move on or call it to a vote?
No, I mean, there's no vote at that point since
There's
there was
no
no motion.
motion.
So, the only other part I have, I don't think we did this, was just that BEC, we got the memo from their March 13th meeting. I know we have the update from this week too, but received the official memo that they had approved the funding request for $265 for the Quabe Night program. That was the only one that went before him that week.
Yep, and to kind of go into this is they've actually, as of today, they have approved all of these requests. So we are up to date. So everything above this has been approved by the BEC. All right, are you done with yours? Okay. So a couple of things is this request here, they actually have elected to not use the funds. So I just wanted to let you guys know, so we will go ahead and take that off, but I wanted to let you guys be aware of that. And then you talked about 39. The other thing is this, oh yeah, we talked about that one. Okay, sorry. Public health. The other note that I wanted to make sure the committee was aware of is actually has to do with Club Senate. Club Senate has about $5,000 left to allocate for spring quarter. So they will be announcing that at their meeting next week. I wanted you guys to be aware because most likely we will be getting more club requests due to Club Senate being limited, which kind of leads into the next topic of our budget and where we are currently sitting at. And Alex probably can speak a little bit more about this, but we had talked about last quarter previously increasing the budget for spring. And I kind of wanted to make sure we were talking about that before moving forward.
I have a question.
Yep.
Not the football team. Well, the request for the playoffs, has that been then finalized, what they actually used?
Yep. So that's $800. And so if you're looking at this column over here, that's pretty much what we have. Not everything is reconciled due to the timing, and so the ones that are in the white are reconciled, meaning that they are final, and those are the numbers that we have transferred out or reimbursed.
Cool.
And so we are looking at $37,000 or $37,534.
Thank you.
Maddie?
And Lacey, would you have a recommendation for a number that we could increase that wouldn't be detrimental?
Yeah, I mean, I think the student government has thrown out the dollar figure of $50,000. And so if that's what the committee votes on and the student government is supporting still, I would say we could flex that much.
Is that something we could vote on right now, increasing it?
If there's a motion, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to increase by 50,000.
There's a motion on the table to increase the budget by 50,000. Eric seconds. Is there any discussion?
You'll make it so easy.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Any further reports?
I do not believe so.
All right. Moving into public comment, first call. Any public comment at this time?
I have a public comment. It's really about you guys and I guess everybody else, but my class to graduate is only offered at this time between 5 and 5:50, and I would really appreciate if we could move this meeting 30 minutes to 6 so that I can still graduate and be on the board and not miss either one. Because if I'm 30 minutes late, 50, 20, whatever, I could be missing voting, I could be missing, there could be no decorum if somebody is out, etc. But if you guys can't, totally fine, but I don't have an option for another class, so.
Is the time and date in our bylaws? No, it's set each quarter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and just with that, the committee has previously, but it was established for the whole year, moved it to 5:45. Again, since we're scheduled till 8, so it wouldn't be outside of that. The other part in that it would be up to the committee, but based on the fact that Jeanette's coming forward, is that part of this is that if we keep it at the same time, I would just recommend that we're aware that we know that she's going to be late with her class schedule, and so to keep that in mind.
Alex?
I'd actually like to make a motion to move it to 6 o'clock if everyone's okay with that. I think that having everybody on here is important, and especially you've been not a detrimental, that's definitely the wrong word, but integral part of this board, and I think that's something that we could do if everyone else can make that work with their schedules as well.
Second.
Eric seconds. Any discussion? Joey?
I would just point out that this moves the meeting from 6 to 8:30 for clarification.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Oh, I
Any,
can vote.
any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. The meetings will be at 6 now. Any further public comment at this time? Seeing none, moving into section 7, old business. Seeing none, moving into section 8, subsection A, supplemental funding request presentation 1836, the CWU Swing Cats lessons in the amount of $700. 10 minutes to present, 10 minutes of questions.
Hello everyone, my name is Ted. I'm currently the president of Swing Cats.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm currently the vice president of Swing Cats and will be the president of Swing Cats next school year.
We are at the board today asking for $700 to help supplement the cost of our dance instructor. This is going for winter quarter due to us submitting the paperwork and it getting lost and transferring hands several times. That's why we're presenting to you today. I think even on Excel it says that we submitted this in early March. So yeah, that's that explanation. We did this before asking for $700 as well. We were asked this time to track our numbers more finely this time. And on our Monday lessons, when we have our instructor, we average between 25 and 30 students a night. So that's our flat numbers there. A question that was brought up last time is why don't we have a teacher or ourselves teach the lessons? We tried teaching the lessons ourselves as well. We learned we're not good at it. So that's why we don't teach it.
There's a lot of technique questions that the other students ask that we don't know how to properly answer. So we did a test run, figured out it doesn't really work, but we did try. But so yeah, there's that.
And the reason we don't have another teacher do it is that the dance teachers we have aren't at a teaching level of Lindy Hop Swing. So and what they do know is international, which is performance, which is very different than the social dance that we do. So.
And this money is going towards his transportation, all of his equipment, and being able to teach the lessons and DJing at our Monday events.
At a price that he reduces significantly, understanding that we're operating on a very low budget. The market rate for what he is supplying would be well over 1,000. So there's also that. In terms of fundraising, what we are doing and have been doing is that our big fundraisers that we had a dance annual ball, or in December, which was called Yule Ball. We made 200 after paying Jen, which was an on-campus club, who they performed for us, and we also gave them 200.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a dance in spring quarter, not spring quarter, winter quarter. That was DJ'd by our instructor, and from that we made roughly 150.
Yes.
Yes. So that's our fundraising approach. We are planning on doing another one in spring. My hope is to work with Jen again, and we'll see how that goes. So,
Any questions?
yeah, that is our speech.
Stefan.
We're better at answering questions.
How many days will the instructor be teaching? You said every Monday, so is that 10
It's
or?
every Monday from 6 to 7 and 7 to 8. The 6 to 7 is our intermediate lesson, and then 7 to 8 is our beginner lesson, and then he is also there DJing from 8 to 10.
So will he be on campus like 10 times per the quarter, or?
Yes.
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 Probably 11, since he'll probably be at our dance.
Yeah.
Go.
And I think you answered this last time, but I apologize because I have a bad
That's
memory.
fine.
I think we asked the question because knowing you in your club account, there's a little over $1,000. If I remember correctly, there was a plan for that. Can you remind us?
Yeah, so at the moment we are not sustainable in that we don't make enough money to cover the cost.
Every quarter.
Yeah, so his cost every quarter is 1,000. So I mean, we could pay it, but then we'd be starting with 0.
Yeah.
Every quarter.
Well, we don't make 1,000 a quarter. So what we are making, we're making roughly 400 in our fundraisers, and we're paying 300 a quarter. So we are still breaking even with that 700 we were funded last time. And our plan is to increase our attendance, which we have been. We jumped from 10 to 25, which will increase our income from there, as well as when that goes up, and our fundraising can go up because we'll have more people that'll help us sell candy bars. So that's our approach, is get more members, which we're doing, so that then we can make enough money to be self-sufficient. Yeah.
Any further questions for our presenters? Thank you. We'll vote on this next week.
Thank you.
Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1837, the graduation cultural celebrations in the amount of $15,200.
Alex, the clicker's on that.
Okay. Well, good evening. I have a couple people I brought up with me, and a couple people will be passing around stoles for you to touch, look at, maybe even wear if you want. Just don't get it in your pizza grease.
I was like,
Awesome. So we are members of the ESC, part of student government. How many of you have heard of the ESC before? A couple of you. Any bonus points? Can you tell me what it stands for? Alex?
Equity Services Council.
That's right. We're Equity and Services Council. So we are part of student government, serving under the Equity and Community Affairs under VP Miranda Wolotarski. And what we do is we represent 9 organizations, and these organizations are made up of students of historically marginalized groups. And what we do is we have them put on events. We educate the student body about issues relating to diversity, inclusivity, and other things that we find fit. And today we're talking about our graduation cultural celebrations. So, there we go. What are our graduation cultural celebrations? So they are opportunities for students' families to come to the university and have an opportunity to see what the campus is like, see their students, how much it means to them that their family can be present and see all that they have done. And so this happens when students are seniors, when they're about to graduate, before commencement, which is on June 9th. Students will send out invitations early in spring quarter, and their families will come, get to attend, sit down, have ethnic food, and be able to celebrate with people of their same groups. And so on the right, we have a picture of Metch's Razagrad from the year 2017, which is last June. So as you can see, this is heavily attended, not only of students, but their families as well. And so at this, students are awarded a stole, which are being passed around now. You can wear it, see how it feels, don't do anything. I'm not gonna do anything, but I can't speak for Veronica. She might come at you later. And so these are the celebrations themselves. And so why do they matter? Again, touching on the university, how many of you have heard of the strategic plan that the university has? It comes out with one next to almost every year, and so it has 5 themes. And the second theme of it has to do with inclusivity and diversity, which I pulled. So I pulled this right off the website. So it says, inclusiveness is achieved by providing a welcoming, supportive, and empowering environment that encourages individuals to express ideas and identities. A diversely rich community affords depth and dimension in personal and collective outcomes. And so that's what it says when talking about theme 2. And part of theme 2 is retention and recruitment, which is a big deal for Central. And so the website, the university website, says diversity in personal identity, culture, experience, and talent is of critical importance as evident in the recruitment and retention efforts of students, faculty, and staff. So one way that we can retain our diverse populations is to celebrate them and provide them a space that is both theirs. And so I actually took this picture myself today. I went down, it's actually right out there. It's on the other side of the parking lot. So it says Central is the #1 university for diversity in the state of Washington. So diversity is something that we brag about. It's something that we like to celebrate as Wildcats. And it's of my opinion and a lot of other people's opinion that if we're going to brag about this and we're going to put this in our strategic plan, then celebrating our diverse populations is something that should be commonplace within the university. And so I can talk about this all I want, but I actually brought people with me who are part of ESC organizations who have been able to experience different graduation ceremonies. So they're going to take, for time's sake, they're going to take like 30 seconds to a minute and just talk about the celebration itself, why it's important to them, and why it should be something that is tradition. So we just go ahead and start with Aaron. Sorry, put you on the
Like it was
spot.
planned. All right, hi everybody. My name is Aaron. I'm with the Filipino American Student Association, FASA, better recognized for the ESC. And why our graduation is so important? It's usually it's with the marginal group, such as Filipino American. There is a difference. It's basically to celebrate and give them recognition for everything I've done. I've been with them for 4 years. This is an annual thing that we do every single year, is we empower the group to basically blend our traditions and cultures on campus with people, kind of build a sense of community and like spread kind of like what we're about and what we do. And with this graduation, all the hard work that we put into this and invested in all the conferences we go to, this is to give back to those students and give them basically a good taste in their mouth when they leave this campus, to know that we do care about them, and that to give them some sort of a memento as they leave back and think, I do want to go back and share what knowledge I have and all the experiences that I did have.
Hey y'all, sorry. My name is Tanya. I go by She, Her, Hers, or She, Her, AS. I'm part of Mecha de Movimiento Estudiantil Chicanexaslan. So having a Rasa grad for myself, I know others can relate as well. As a first generation student, it's a celebration with my family. Because I know when it comes to my story, it simulates with other people as well. Because my dad is a middle school dropout and my mom is a high school dropout. So for them to see me holding a bachelor's degree is like memorial for them. It's like historic. So having to be able to not only share my bachelor's degree with them, but also share with around the other Latinx students around me. Because I know last year was the biggest graduation class of Latinx students, and I know this year's gonna probably be bigger. So having to celebrate with their families, because I know there's a lot of tears and joys happening in that ceremony, and that happened last year. So being able to celebrate with my family and for myself is a big accomplishment for myself as well. So having the opportunity to have this is something that I've been wanting for like the longest time as a first gen. So yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Liliana Fausto. So again, I'm wanting to come on behalf of Mecha as well. I'm not a senior, but I'm here with 2 seniors that are participants of Mecha, and again, giving the importance of why we need the funds to fund our graduation, not just our graduation, but students of color on this campus, and highlighting their efforts and all the work that they've done throughout the year. And going off of Tanya, last year was the biggest Latinx grad with 391 students that graduated, and as you saw in the picture, we did have 75 students that attended Rasa grad. And that was based off of our funds from Mecha and a help with ESC. Yeah, but if we did have more support or funds through S&A, we could potentially bring all of our students, or be able to have the funds to have a bigger space, have more resources to make sure that all of our students and their families come out and do get to celebrate their achievements, not from just their senior year, but multiple years that they've been here. And that's what we want to continue to do, is highlight our students that are here, and specifically our students of color on campus who really don't get highlighted that much. And when going off of our diversity on campus and wanting to show that, it's also about coming back and really supporting the students and giving us those resources that we need. That's the way that we can help support our marginalized groups and students of color on campus. So that's why I'm here, asking for those funds so that we can continue to uplift our communities and students of color on campus.
What's up, y'all? My name is Giovanni Severino. I'm also here on behalf of Mecha. I'm a graduating senior, and the reason why this is important not only to myself but to our community, to all the different organizations here today, is that it's not only just for ourselves or our families, but the community as well. When we go to the general graduation, it's one simple, it's a normal graduation, correct? But it doesn't really emphasize on the culture and the struggles that those groups face through their time here on campus. And at these celebrations, we get to focus and and cherish these cultures, and then show those families like, hey, you know, there's a space for you too here at Central. And it's not only for the families, but it's for the community, and hopefully you'll also encourage those. For myself, for Rasa Grad, I'm gonna bring my family, I'm gonna bring my younger siblings, and I'm gonna encourage them, look, like at this university, we cherish all different kinds of cultures. So many of us, we face so many different obstacles because of the way we grew up or where we come from, but obstacles are obstacles and they're meant to be passed. They're meant to be overcome. So hopefully this will not only encourage us, only encourage our family members, but our community members to get educated and to come here at Central as well. So.
Hi everybody, my name is Allison. I go by she, her, hers. I am Vice President of Quality for Queers and Allies, also known as Equal. I'm also spearheading Pride Committee, which is going to be celebrating Pride this year. You have to go because it's going to be really cool. And so basically what we do is lavender graduation, which is just celebrating just how powerful and the hardships that people in the LGBTQ community have been through, and just, I don't really know what to say, it's basically just diversity. It's not a diversity you can always see, but it's still a diversity because we're just celebrating, we're here because we love different people, and they might not be the same people as you, but we still love people. We just want to celebrate that even though we love different people, we're still here and we're still human, and
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maurice Watkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, or my name, and I'm the Equity and Service Council representative for Black Student Union. And I think cultural graduation ceremonies are very important, and I say this because being an African American male, there are oftentimes circumstances that occur where African American parents don't necessarily emphasize the importance of education as much as they could have, and it oftentimes gets overlooked. So I feel like coming together and showing that extra recognition as well as providing a cultural aspect for not only the students who graduate but for the families as well, it would just make the overall commencement opportunity so much more worthwhile. So yeah, now I yield my time.
Hello, my name is Moniwani. My pronoun is he, his, him. I'm the treasurer for Poly Central. So we need funds, basically, as everybody touched based on recognition first. As you all know, most Polynesian students, are first generation students. So graduating from a 4-year institution is an accolade. So having, you know, a celebration really just to be a mark, you know, we did it, and let's go into the world.
Their allotted 10 minutes are up. I'd like to entertain a motion to extend it for 5 minutes. Alex would move. Julia seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Sorry about that. But as you can see, it's a lot more than just food, space, and celebration. It inspires other people. It inspires grit. It provides hope. And there's a lot of things that aren't really tangible and aren't measurable, but they exist nonetheless. And so why we're here is we're seeking $15,200 to cover food for these graduation celebrations. Right now we have funds committed from the ESC budget to cover stoles. So $4,900 to cover the orders, the shipping, and the stoles themselves. And then we have $6,000 committed from the ACWU general budget, and that has to do with covering rooms, other stuff, yeah,
Technology.
all the good stuff. And so food is a big part of it. It's a part of cultural identity, so it's just that one extra thing that ties it all together. So you're with people who are of your community, and you can come together, eat your ethnic food, and be able to celebrate. And so again, we're the ESC, and this is what we do with, we're the ESC, and this is our request. And so we'd like to open it up for questions at this time. Yes.
So just for the funds that are committed, that actually has nothing to do with the food request that you have. So the $6,000, none of that's going towards the food?
It can't go towards food, is what we're told.
Right.
Like from where the funding is coming from, like it's not allowed to be used for food.
So it's just for room rentals and the other items that are.
Patrick?
Joey, was this something that the S&A committee funded in previous years
Yes, they have funded it.
in a similar request?
Similar, yeah, for the cultural celebrations. It hasn't been in every year, but I believe
It was
last year, yeah. I can't remember if we did the year before that, but we have before, yeah.
I think it's on
Are we we're not at the discussion time, we're at the question
We're
time.
asking.
Yeah, this is a question, yeah. Looking at the numbers on here, I know you have it broken down by the club. I guess I have two questions, so just to preface that. One, I know that we have 9 groups recognized under ESC. Is there a reason that not all 9 of them do cultural celebrations?
It's usually chosen by the org if they want to do a cultural celebration or not. A lot of them, like first generation students, they don't have an identity that really ties them together like an ethnicity, so it's really the org's choice. There's 5 orgs right now that do it, which is you've heard from.
Yep.
So it's not anything that we say, it's an individual choice by the organization to have a celebration or not.
Okay.
And so 5 have chosen and 4 have chosen not to.
And then within that, how did you all come up with the breakdown of the amount per group based on the food? What was that based off of?
The numbers of the colleges. So what with the different graduations and everything, Michelle Cyrus helped put together some honor requests and look through numbers, I think with Lacey as well, to make sure that we are accurately portraying how many students we have in those organizations as well as within the different colleges represented.
And it was also based off last year's requests.
Is this the anticipated amounts for just the students to eat, or the students and their family members?
Students and family members.
So if they already RSVP, sister, brother, cousin, etc.
Yeah, no,
for these organizations?
Just to clarify, working with Michelle on this, these are actually just based off the students, not any additional guests. These dollar figures that are in here.
So that
Which
was
totals
going to be
that?
my question that I think I'd have to make a statement before my question would make sense, is that the S&A fee is levied on and collected from each student on campus to provide services and activities to the students. And we have, we preclude it from being used to send professors along to conferences, for example. So my actual question is, was there a consideration in selling tickets for the family members, or I'm not sure. I think that eventually, I need to ask this question because eventually during the discussion phase, there's going to be a question about if we can spend S&A money for food for people that are not students because of the way the laws are structured.
It's Veronica.
Oh, yes.
So I'm Veronica Gomez. I'm going to take over Michelle's spot in advising ESC. The reason we do not sell tickets, one is that a majority of these families are low-income families. So if we sold tickets, these families will not be able to attend. And they come from all over the state, so we have to be very careful about that. The other piece too is, as long as it's honoring our students and that we are awarding them a SOL, we should be able to provide meals for families, right? Is that correct?
I want to just comment on this. Just to go back to the request is just based off the students eating. If there's any other members that are potentially coming, there'll need to be another funding source to offset that, whether that's tickets or something else if they decide. So what we're voting on right now has to do with just the student headcounts for these events. That being said, it also they don't really necessarily have quotes for these meals yet, but there also needs to be a dollar figure associated per person because we are limited to that dollar figure for each student.
Right.
So.
I mean, we all understand the importance of the program and the university's commitment to diversity, and we're sensitive to the economic situation of those maybe that would be attending. However, we still have the RCWs that this committee is required to consider when granting funding. So it's, just like maybe the constraints that the other budgets up there might have.
Joey?
And I know this is maybe different with each of these. Knowing that each of these are based on the different cultural foods and things, are these going to be to where we're using catering or using outside? Do we know?
We'll go through the bidding process like we do with anything else, but it'll be probably most likely using outside sources.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Jeanette?
Yeah, so I understand it's for the students and we need dollar amounts per person, but if we award such amount, here is not itemized per club, right? Not per person. So is this, like you said, is based off of the head count. So can we vote on this of this number, or is it going to change when they know how many people are going to be?
So,
do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, so to kind of answer that question is even if you approve a certain dollar figure here through this request, they actually have to go through the approval process through Central. And part of that vetting process actually has to do with how many people are attending, what's that dollar figure, once they get the quote from either their catering, or from whoever is doing the food. So there's a lot of checks and balances that go into it. So what you would be voting on is pretty much a flat number, and then there's the more detailed check afterwards.
It's more of a not to exceed
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of.
Got it.
Past
Okay.
that. So they're orgs, not clubs. Sorry, small but distinct.
Clubs.
Aaron?
Yeah,
I have a question.
I know what you mean.
How, if we can only, as we know, S&A can only support student activities and student because it's our fee.
Right.
In previous years, how was the food paid for that would go to the families, friends, what have you, that came to the event? Was it did it just come from another funding source that they had, or were they charged?
I mean, and I'll look. I don't know if Veronica has more. I mean, it would have been from another funding source. I do not believe we've ever charged for the graduation celebrations before.
All the celebrations have always been free, and we have obtained outside funding from other sources, such as colleges, the provosts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be voting on this next week. Moving into supplemental funding request presentation 1838, the Get Yourself Texted condom fashion show in the amount of $2,000. Oh, my bad.
It said texted. I was like, unique name.
Tested? Where?
It said texted on the agenda.
Oh,
the
agenda. That's what he was reading off of.
Presentation with a new budget in it. We are reducing our funding request to $1,500, not the original $2,000, based on some additional revenue that we acquired from student medical and counseling. So I'll pass those to both of you so you have an updated copy. My name is Erin. I'm the health education coordinator in the Wellness Center.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Washington. I'm the sexual health and healthy relationships peer educator. Okay, so our program goals are provide sexual transmitted infection testing to 72 students in collaboration with the Student Medical and Counseling Clinic across from Meisner on April 10th through the 11th. Additionally, when we partnered up with Student Medical and Counseling Center for HIV testing for World AIDS Day, we were only allowed to get 20 students tested through our funding. You have to remember, without insurance, students would have to pay $50 to get tested. As you can see, why this is really important that we get free testing to students. Also, this program would increase knowledge pertaining to consistent and correct use of latex condoms during all sexual activity to prevent transmission of sexual transmitted diseases.
And then last year, we also did the Get Yourself Tested campaign. We were able to test about 60 students last year. We're increasing that with the Student Medical and Counseling Center backing us up to try to get 72 students tested this quarter. And it's on average about $50 per student to get them tested. They're tested for HIV, syphilis, chlamydia, and gonorrhea. So get yourself tested if you're not familiar with the campaign. It's a national campaign that many schools, organizations take on. It's geared at young people to get young people tested, to reduce stigma around getting tested and make it easier and more comfortable for them to come in, get tested, and figure out how to reduce their risk of transmitting STIs in the future. It promotes a more open dialogue between them and their healthcare provider and gives them a chance to get tested for free if funding is a barrier for them. And then also it is anonymous, so if they have that barrier of getting their name attached to a document at that time of testing, that reduces that barrier as well.
And GYT is also used to break the stigma behind getting tested to make students more comfortable in getting tested through these services. Why is testing so important? 1 in 2 sexually active people will get an STI before the age of 25. So that's about 20 million people, or people before the age of 25 that would get an STI.
So of the approximate 20 million new STIs that occur every year in the United States, most of them will go undiagnosed due to not showing symptoms, not wanting to go in and get tested. And the only way to really know if they have them is to get yourself tested, thus the Get Yourself Tested campaign. It takes a particularly heavy toll on young people. The Centers for Disease Control approximates for the age group of 16 to 24, they are disproportionately affected by STI diagnoses. They account for over half of all new diagnoses, even though they're only about 20% of our population. Okay, so what we're asking for. So we're asking for $1,500 from S&A to cover the cost of half of the total cost of testing. In order to test those 72 students, it's going to cost about $3,000. The Student Medical and Counseling Clinic has offered to pay for half of that, the $1,500. So we're asking for the supplemental $1,500 for the other half of that. We are doing this program in conjunction with our condom fashion show because of GYT is also built on breaking the stigma of getting tested, as well as awareness around how to reduce STI transmission in the first place. We are doing 2 days of testing, topped off with our condom fashion show at the end, which is a fun and educational event for all students on campus. And then we're paying, Wellness Center is putting in $2,482 approximately, and then the Department of Health is also driving up from Yakima and giving their time and resources and no cost to us. So. Any questions?
Any questions for our presenters? Thank you. We'll be voting on this next week. Skip 39.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1840, Shape Your America National Convention in the amount of $8,489.89.
Do you know what word of mouth is? It's a package of publicity centers. So Media Bum and Word of Mouth are both different packages for advertising. So Media Bum is using their social media accounts, and then Word of Mouth packages are like putting out different posters and stuff like that, and making like little handbills.
All right. While Zach gets this set up, so basically, I just want to start out by saying thank you so much for letting us present. We had a little bit of a hiccup last quarter, so we were not able to present, and it was a whole ordeal. So the fact that you allowed us to come and present is a really big deal for us as a club, because this it's in the funding folder for the top. There you go. All right, yeah. So because this is a really big deal for us. So basically, what we did was we went to the Shape America conference over spring break. For those of you who don't know, Shape America is, so we're both physical education and school health majors. Shape America is our big overlying organization. So they set all our standards for all the PE teachers, all the health programs all over the country. And so they held these big, huge expos and conventions, conferences, and we got to go to one. This is huge for us. You get to go learn about the best, the newest, the all the new teaching stuff, all the great things that are going on in PE. You get to learn from the highest, the best professors, the best doctors in our field. You get to learn all the new, like you get to learn how to teach dance in a new way. You get to learn how to teach to students who have disabilities. You get to learn how to teach to kindergarten through 12th grade students. Like, you get to learn how to teach to all these different students, all these diverse populations and stuff like that. So we're gonna start out, this is a quick video, and this is just kind of like what SHAPE's about and what that conference is.
Today's general session was unbelievable. The inspiration I got out of that and what they had to say was just so moving and touching. I'm glad I went.
The general session, what makes it good is the speakers.
The overall theme was definitely optimism.
The head of life is good organization. He was fantastic. He had a lot of good things to say about being positive and being an optimistic person and looking on the bright side of everything.
Our first mission as optimists is simply to choose to see the good in ourselves, others, and in the world around us.
You know, with Steve, I was talking about students, we continue dealing with those called golden opportunities to really get them back on track.
The good news is we get golden opportunities. We are breaking the cycle. We are saving lives.
I also would add that another theme would be our children's future, and that's why we're here, to learn and teach children.
In order to raise kids that are truly healthy, we have to prioritize both their physical and mental wellness.
I'm inspired towards the future on some of the statistics and graphs that they showed us.
One of the things I want to take away from the general session is to not be pessimistic. Think about the good things that you have, not about what you don't have.
If you can't see the good, how are you going to live?
Okay, so like Joseph said, the SHAPE conference is for PE and health, so we're learning kind of both sides of that since we are not really dual majors, but it's kind of combined into one thing, so it allows us to teach both subjects. So the way that the whole conference is set up is it's kind of a 5-day, almost like going to class. You have little half-hour to 2 hours. Some of them get up to like 4-hour long sessions that you go to. They span a super wide range from dancing to yoga to rock climbing. We went to one that was on Tai Chi and how to teach that in the classroom. And basically, if anything you want to teach, they have a session for that. But then they also cover things like where we're going with our standards, where basically where the future of PE is going to take us. So when we go, we ended up taking 15 students. And so when we went there, we made it kind of a requirement that we spread out and make sure we're hitting as many sessions as possible. And then at the end of the day, we brought them all back, talked about our sessions, what we learned at those, how we can apply those to our classrooms. So kind of like what we said, the benefits of the conference, while we're there, we're going to these sessions, we're meeting people. Like Joseph said, we're talking to some of the top PE teachers, top administrators in our area, but then we're also talking to those people that are in the entire United States. So we talk to people from Tennessee, we talk to people from Wisconsin, we talk to people from Washington, D.C. And one of the biggest things we got to do was the heads of the SHAPE Washington, our section of the PE everything, we got to sit down with them at dinner and talk with them, and Central was invited specifically because of how prominent Central's PE program is, and it's one of the top ones in the nation. People really look to us when we go to these conferences because of how many people we bring and the presence that we display while we're there. So we make sure that our students are participating in the sessions. We're all wearing our PESH gear or some type of Central gear so that people know where we are from, what we stand for. When they get back, we have them bring all the stuff that they did, put it into a notebook, and then they're going to turn those notebooks in and present them. And one of the biggest things is with the connections is we're looking at future employers, as well as other schools that we could go do master's programs at. We're talking to other students about coming to do master's programs here, building connections with other people so that when we become PE teachers, we can be the best teachers that we can be.
If I could touch on that real quick. If you look in this picture, you can see the student here. He's wearing this nice polo that I have here. Like Zach said, we're always sporting Central Gear. We're always rocking Central Gear, which is really cool because you'll have a teacher come from Massachusetts. She'll come up and shake your hand and she'll like, do you know Doc Mathias? Do you know Stiff and Ward? Like they're asking if we know or if they're asking about our professors. They're asking about how our classes are going. They're asking when are we graduating. Zach said that we got to go meet with all the Shapewa board members during a dinner, and I got offered at least 6 jobs. Like, that's ridiculous. I got offered at least 6 jobs. I got offered 3 or 4 places to do student teaching all over Washington State. So, like, that's a big deal. That's not something that a lot of other majors get an opportunity to do. And it's not even like, oh, come to this job fair. It's like we're sitting down eating dinner. I take a bite of my burger, and the teacher comes up, and she's like, hey, like, do you need a job next fall? Hey, do you need a student to teach next fall? And I'm like, duh, don't be worried. So yeah, so this was a really, really cool opportunity for us.
So yeah, while we were there, we learned different types of activities. This is part of the Tai Chi thing that we did. That's me right there. It was very different. That's for sure. Yeah, the person that was there, she was way into it, taught us how to break it down for our students so that we're using different animal cues and that we're getting the monkey fan and flipping everything back, and we used the fans, and it was an absolute blast. It was probably one of my favorite sessions we did. Then besides that, we they have this big, massive open area where they have different people bring the exhibit hall. Yeah, they're different people bring in equipment, people from different equipment supply stores. Spike Ball was there. Who else was there? We had
it's just like a lot of different like manufacturers of sporting equipment and like different exercise equipment, and that's really cool because not only are they sitting there trying to sell it to us, which obviously we can't purchase, but they're giving away free equipment, which is huge. Because as you probably know, being a teacher, you don't get paid a lot, and PE equipment is very expensive. And so you will have people sitting there raffling off like weight equipment, or they're raffling off like dodgeballs, or they're raffling off whatever it is. They're raffling off so many different things, and that's really cool for us because as students, then we can start to build our equipment base and what we have.
Yeah, and then with that, a lot of them are also giving out lesson plans regarding how to use their equipment in the classroom, which for us being student teachers, that's really, really helpful for us because we haven't really built upon our experiences yet, so we're able to work off of that stuff.
Yeah, so the benefits of the conference, as we said, we get to promote our school, we get to promote ourselves, and we get to learn a lot. There's a lot of learning. One of the things that's not up here is it gives a lot of students the opportunity to step outside their comfort zone. As you know, when you sit in a class with a bunch of students, it's really hard sometimes to put yourself out there and to step outside that box. When you're in a classroom full of teachers who are super engaged, it's hard not to. When all the teachers and all these people that are, 10, 15 year experienced teachers are running around doing a dance, or they're playing tag and like running at full force, sweating and stuff, it's hard as a college student not to want to be engaged, not to want to do that. So that's like a really big thing. It allows us to start doing that because when we become teachers, that's what's going to be expected of us in the classrooms.
So what we give in the program, the stuff that we're not requesting money for, we volunteered at a car wash, put that on last spring to raise a little bit of money for our clubs so that we have some funding that we have to work with. Our students that are in our club are actively involved. We go do field days at Lincoln and Mount Stewart. Our senator and our staff senator are actively involved in those clubs or in those meetings. And then when we're actually on the trip, the students are providing their own food, their own Uber taxi rides, ways to get around Nashville. And then we also had them all purchase their own membership to the Shape America conference, which was about $60 a piece. And that lasts a year, and basically that's just another way that they can tie into the other teachers in the area. So that stuff came out of their pocket. And then giving back to the university, again, they bring back all the information they use. And before we graduate, just in the PETCH program, we have to do 4 practicums, an elementary, a middle school, a high school, a college, and a health one. And so in those, we can use the information that we use at this conference to help us teach those programs. And then those schools are more likely to allow us to keep doing those programs in the
Just a
future.
quick thing, the money that he was talking about, the SHAPE membership, that is a membership into the SHAPE Washington program, or not SHAPE Washington, SHAPE America program. And so what that does is that creates an open dialogue between you and a bunch of other teachers. So I get probably 10 emails a week from different teachers sending me lesson plans. They're asking like open questions. They're creating a dialogue. They're like, hey, I don't know what to do about, teaching ultimate frisbee. How do I do that? And then other teachers are piling in, and that's really cool because I'm teaching frisbee this quarter, so I can just look at one of those emails and be like, hey, this teacher has this lesson plan. Let me pull that. Hey, this teacher has this idea. Let me pull this game or this activity, or let me try to use these cues. Like, that's a really cool thing. And you get those emails all throughout the year, and they're on a variety of different things. And then you can also post on that. So if I'm having a problem, I can post something on that and then get feedback, real-time feedback from teachers from all over the country and sometimes even all over the world.
Okay, so
No, cut you guys off. The 10 minutes are up. Would someone like to, Alex would like to make a motion to extend their presentation by 5 minutes. Julia seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you. We'll try to make the rest of this really quick. So the money we're actually requesting, our total between the registration cost to actually go to the convention. This isn't the membership to Shape America. This is the actual to get into the building that's there. The hotel that we stayed at the Quality Inn. Try to keep it as cheap as possible. And our flights for the students, that total came out to $11,989. Like I said, we try to keep everything as cheap as possible. We had over half of our students purchase their plane tickets on Cyber Monday, and we were able to get super good deals on those to keep everything as low as possible. From this amount, we ended up requesting money from Senate and from SAS, and got that amount. So minus that $3,500 from both of those places, the total we're requesting from S&A is $8,489. And so that just finalizes, helps cover the plane ticket and the registration costs and the hotel rooms for the students that went on this trip.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions for our presenters? Thank you. We'll vote on this
Wait,
next
wait,
week.
wait, wait.
Oh, Jeanette.
Go ahead.
How did you choose the 15 people that you guys?
Okay, so we have a point system, and the way our point system works is that you get points for showing up to meetings. You get 1 point for coming to an event that we have. So we did Boo Central. We've done a couple other, like when we do our field days, you get 2 points. And then if you create an event, it's 3 points. So for example, I did a Socktober event, so I collected a whole bunch of socks and underwear and donated them to a local homeless shelter. So I got 3 points for that. And then Zach participated in that, so he would get 2 points. So,
Okay.
and then whoever had the most points, that's who we kind of chose. And then if they didn't want to go, then we just moved on down the list.
Any further questions? We'll vote on this later tonight. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to entertain a motion for a 10-minute recess, or 5 minute. Alex? 5 minute recess. Alex moves. Julia seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We'll resume this meeting at 6:38. I'd like to call this meeting back to order at 6:38 and move into supplemental funding request presentation 1841, the Finding Your True North Leadership Conference in the amount of $2,046.30. 10 minutes to present, 10 minutes to questions.
So hello everyone, my name is Emma Montes, and
am the president of the College Success Foundation Club, also known as the CSF Club. I'm Brianna Smith. I'm the secretary of the CSF Club. And here's some of our club contact information. Lorinda, the advisor, Jason Posadas, the senator, Lauren Hajek, the program coordinator, and my contact information. Before we talk a little bit more about the leadership conference, we would like to talk a little bit about the CSF Club here at Center.
So a little bit about the CSF Club. We aim towards enriching the college experience for students that follow the CSF values, including providing opportunities and extra support for low-income, first-generation, first-year students and students who were previously in the foster care system. Creating programs allowing community building, collaboration, and learning from each other. Enhancing professionalism and promoting student success. Encouraging leadership and personal growth to help students connect with their community and campus. And our club isn't only open to CSF scholars, but is also open to those who support first-generation, low-income, first-year students.
So Finding Your True North is the leadership conference that we hope to go to. It is a conference taking place in Bremerton, Washington, and it will take place from April 13th to April 15th. The conference itself, the entrance fees will total up to $350, and there were actually two options that we could have chosen: $50 per ticket or a bundle of 5 for $175. We're opting for the cheaper bundle that will come out to $350 for 10 CSF club members. And here's just a list of things that will occur, the sessions and workshops that will occur during the leadership conference. But to sum it up, the workshops and sessions will mainly be about leadership, improving leadership skills, speaking and listening techniques, and also creating networks with other people.
So a few things that we will take away from this conference is we want to provide professionalism opportunities for students who have new opportunities like this because they are low income and first generation students. They haven't had as many opportunities to do so in the past. We want to cultivate leadership skills that we can share within our club and on campus with other students. We want our students to experience business etiquette, professionalism, and sophistication that they can then carry on in the CW community. And we hope to take away that we can build communication between the CW students and encourage collaboration, learning, and individual growth. These leadership skills will help students plan programs in the future and will help collaboration between our club and other clubs and our members and other students across campus. We can also use our professionalism and sophistication that we gain from the conference to better represent the university upon our return.
So the trip details, we are hoping to lodge at Fairfield Inn and Suites. It is also located in Bremerton, Washington. It is about 2 blocks from the conference center, and we are asking for $1,089.30, which will be 4 rooms, 1 male room, 2 female rooms, and 1 staff room. The staff would be me and Lauren, who is the program coordinator. Although we are all also members of the CSF club, our jobs consist of she's a graduate assistant and I am a CSF navigator, which sort of works like a mentor for first year students, which is what the club is mostly made up of. And so Lauren thought it would be best to have a staff room for ourselves just to maintain professionalism. And the Fairfield Inn and Suites is the most affordable accommodations within walking distance of the conference center. For transportation, we are looking at $477, which would include taking 2 sedans to go to the conference and back. And the $477 also includes parking fees at the hotel and very expensive.
We are requesting $630 to cover meals, which averages out to about $63 per person, and that will cover 2 lunches and 3 dinners because the hotel that we chose has the free breakfast with it. Meals are integral for community building between students and can help form connections between our members that can come back and continue to build on while we're on campus. Since our club aims to provide opportunities for students in need by limiting attendance barriers, without coverage for food costs, some of our students may not be able to attend the conference due to those costs and due to them being from low-income families. We have asked for meal support funds from College Success Foundation. We have not heard back from them yet. We just heard last night that we will be receiving $300 from Career Services to help cover the transportation. So we aren't requesting $2,046, we're actually requesting $1,746. And we're also requesting funds from Club Senate. We're requesting $1,500 from them, but due to our low budget, we're hoping to get at least $500.
So what 2,046 and 30 cents will do? These funds will help create an experience for students that will not only provide training in leadership and speaking, but also offer an opportunity to practice and learn professional etiquette, a skill that attendees will continue to carry with them throughout their career interactions at CWU and in their professional world.
Any questions for our presenters? Thank you. We'll be voting on this next week.
Thank you.
Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1842, the CWU Flute Choir performance at the NFA National Conference in the amount of $16,530.
Hello, my name is Willow Larson. I am the president of the CWU Flute Club and also a member of the CWU Flute Choir.
And I am Elliot Westham. I am the vice president of the Flute Club and one of the members of the CWU Flute Choir as well.
So we are here today on behalf of the CWU Flute Choir to ask for funds from the council in order to fund our trip to Orlando, Florida to perform at the National Flute Association Convention.
So the National Flute Association is one of the biggest associations for flute players. It's their mission. Part of their mission statement is inspiring flutists like ourselves and enriching lives. They promote flute performance, pedagogy, and development by holding sessions, clinics, and various networking opportunities. I know this 2 years ago or last year, 2 of our members from the Flute Studio auditioned and got into the National Flute Association Flute Choir, performed at the National Convention, and that was a really big honor because there's a lot of auditions. So that helped them with their flute performance, and so that aided in their pedagogy and all that kind of stuff. And from the NFA is also an organization with where a bunch of flutists come together and pretty much talk about flute and how cool it is and inspire each other to teach different techniques and all that.
So at this specific convention, this is a worldwide convention that travels and changes locations every year. This year just happens to be in Orlando, Florida from August 9th through August 12th. So the 4-day convention has many opportunities besides just performances like what we are hoping to do at the convention. There are also sessions that can be attended. There are master classes where world-class flute players will be giving feedback on other people's performances. There will be, like I said, other performances that we can see and learn from, ensembles like the Collegiate Flute Choir that we talked about that some of our members have been a part of, and also an exhibition hall that showcases different kinds of flutes, music, and has different schools at it. It's pretty much just like a big area where everyone can meet. And additionally, like Elliot said, this is an incredible networking opportunity. Like some of the other groups that presented earlier said, this is the place that flute players go. So in addition to there being other students from around the world there will also be both public and private teachers. There will be professional performers and flute players, and there will also be what am I trying, what is the word? And professors and educators, both at the undergraduate and graduate level.
If I could touch on that really quick. For people looking to go to graduate schools, this is also a great opportunity to meet other professors from around the country that they can further their education studying flute performance at graduate level. So this is just a great way to connect with those professors that we wouldn't usually connect with here on our campus. The participants, we have about 15 performers attending from the CWU Flute Studio attending this event. Our director, conductor, and club advisor, Dr. Hal Ott, will be there taking us there. He's been there many times. He's actually been on the chair of the National Flute Association many times and has organized the event before. He couldn't be with us tonight, unfortunately, because he's actually performing at the music building tonight with his trio.
Right now.
Right now, actually. So he was disappointed to miss this presentation. We have representation from all levels, from freshmen all the way through graduate students. And out of over 500 submissions, the CWU Flute Choir is one of the ensembles asked to perform, and we got one of the best spots possible at lunchtime in the best performing area at the conference. So it's a pretty good opportunity for us. It's a privilege to be accepted into this event, such a prestigious event.
Absolutely, and there are other flute choirs from other universities and schools around the world performing, but as Elliot said, we do have one of the prime performance slots. Many ensembles get selected to perform one piece in a shared concert, or they will be during a session time where there are 20 other sessions going on, so there's not a lot of attendance. But we are actually in one of the main foyers during the lunch hour. So we have an entire hour performance, and we will be having a very big crowd hopefully watching us. And then so benefits to specifically our flute students and our music students at this university. The biggest thing is obviously that we are gaining an incredible amount of performance experience for this, which is absolutely vital to developing into good musicians. Like, that's why we are all going to school here, is to become quality musicians and quality educators. So we will be observing sessions and clinics to enhance our areas of musicianship that we can then bring back and hopefully share with our peers. And with that, like I said, there's other performances that are available, so we will be watching as many as we can and attending as many clinics as we can in order to expose ourselves to different music and performance styles and just gain as much knowledge as possible. And as we touched on a little bit before, there's lots of networking opportunities. I'm a graduating senior, and I'm going to Florida State for grad school next year and for flute and music, and I will be meeting with my professor there, so I'll have another good connection there. Another thing that's pretty interesting, I really hope that we can provide this experience for our peers, is that many of our students haven't actually traveled outside of the boundaries of Washington State. And this is going completely across the country, pretty much the other side as far as you can get. So being able to see a different climate, a different culture, and just have that travel experience is vital to the development as people. And similarly, developing some professionalism and adding to our resume or CV is always good for going into the professional world once we leave the educational institution.
Benefits to Central Washington University. We're representing Central Washington University at a very prestigious level in the music world, so it's putting our name out there and letting people know who we are. Recruiting students from across the globe. There will also be students here, not just professors and teachers, so they can see what CWU has to offer for the flute program as well as like music program if they want to come here for something else like composition. And we also provide students with invaluable diverse musical, professional, and cultural experiences, as Willa touched on. It's great to get out of Washington because we all know the teachers around here. Our professor, Dr. Ott, knows everyone around here, so it's really nice for us to go around to a national convention where we can see a whole different view on flute pedagogy and performance. And like I said, it'd be a showcase of not only our university but also our music department too at a national level.
Awesome. So what we have here, this is our flute choir that was taken last month in Yakima when we were performing at a church for a community event there. And we also, I'll have to pull it up on a different audio player because it wasn't working. Martin Kennedy, who's not here, unfortunately, he composed a piece for a flute choir that was performed. So we have a little audio clip to show you guys of that, just to show you what the flute car can do. It's just on the little cone thing. I didn't really know. Yeah, so just listen to like 30 seconds. This was our flute choir. So that was a recording that was actually submitted. Oh, yes.
Is the girl in the center who's holding a great big instrument, is that still a flute?
Yeah, that's a contrabass flute. We call it Brutus affectionately in our flute studio. It's made out of PVC pipe, but it's super cool.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, of course. What I was just going to say, that was one of the recordings we actually submitted to get into this event. And again, that was composed by Dr. Martin Kennedy, who is on this board, and he is a composition professor here, which is pretty cool. It's a fun piece, really hard. Are there any questions? Yes.
Of the 15 that are going, how many are graduating seniors?
There will be 3 graduating seniors
And
for that.
my question is in regards to, we are only, as far as I understand, only allowed to fund current students.
Mm-hmm. I think what we were planning on doing, and I'm not sure who our Professor Dr. Ott talked to, but those graduating seniors will be enrolling in an independent study course this summer to ensure that we are still students while at this event.
That's a loophole.
I hope that is correct.
I just had a question on the actual packet. So
Yeah,
it looks
of
like the
course.
total expenses is about $16,500.
Yes.
Are you asking for the full amount?
We are.
For $16,000?
Yes.
But they
So can you maybe go into some detail, because it does look like you have total revenue of $7,900.
Yes.
Can you go into a little detail of what that covers?
Yeah, of course. Is it okay if I pull it up on my iPad really fast, just so I can look? I know that a lot of that is coming from student contributions, which we are not asking for any food contributions because we know, I have it here, thank you. We're not asking for any food contributions because we know that often S&A does not like to fund that, so we figured that can be an expense for our students. That student contribution is totaling, oh perfect, yeah, $5,775. That also includes transportation to CTAC and then from CTAC. We're figuring hopefully that we can fund transportation in Orlando. Again, the S&A funding is tentative. We have not, or the SAS funding, I'm saying acronyms, is tentative. We haven't asked for that yet. I will be submitting that really soon. Flute account is currently going to something else. If we need to tap into that to make sure that we can ensure this opportunity for our students, we definitely will be. But currently there's another competition that we're trying to attend for other students not participating in this event. And then finally, fundraising, we are in the process. That fundraising amount is tentative, but do you want to talk a little bit about the fundraisers we're planning on doing this quarter?
Yeah, we've been asking our students to go out to local businesses and ask if we can do kind of like a shared fundraiser with them, you know, like the part where you go and part of the profit of the night goes to the Flute Club and then the rest of it goes to the organization. We've also, in the music building, we do this thing called tabling where we fundraise by selling like muffins or something to CWU students, and part of our fundraising comes from that, and it's been very effective for other music clubs on campus. So.
This is a question for clarification from Lacey. We have a question.
Mm-hmm.
We're not allowed to pay for faculty or staff, correct?
Well, it's an allowable expense, but I think historically, it has not been funded from S&A.
Jeanette?
I still don't know if I quite got the answer to Lacey's question.
Okay.
Like, I know that the fundraising is tentative, got it. SAS is tentative,
Yeah.
got it. The flute account is going to something else,
Yeah.
but then the student contribution.
The student contribution are items that I did not put in our anticipated expenses, which I guess I should have to show that, but I did not include the food and the other materials that students require.
There's transportation.
I think, and that's what I was going to ask. I think the only one that might be is the transportation to and from the airport.
Oh, yes, that is
Yeah.
it down in the notes. It says just in Orlando from CTAC we're providing that for ourselves. I could have made that more clear. That's my mistake. Thank you.
Any further questions? Jeanette?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what I ask every time. Why those 15 students? I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So why those 15 students?
So we have, it was actually whoever wanted to do it in our flute studio. We have around 30 students that are members of the flute studio, either flute performance, music education, or both. And these are the ones that elected to take the flute choir class. So it was completely optional. It's co-curricular. It's not required to be to attend this as a part of the studio, but it is a wonderful opportunity that we're trying to provide for them. So it wasn't like we hand-selected 15 students or anything. That's just the number that were interested in participating and being a part of the ensemble.
Maddie?
And I just wanted to clarify, did you guys include the professor in the figure?
Yes.
Like the 8,000 and all that?
Yeah, he is in the registration fees, the airfare, and the baggage fees. He's staying in a different location for the lodging because his entire family's coming. And then he is a lifetime member because he was a president of this organization, so we don't have to pay for his membership fee. Other than that, yes, he is included in airfare, baggage, registration. Yes.
What's the difference between the membership fee and your registration fee? I know you have it written there, but would you mind just elaborating on that?
Yeah, the membership fee is the fee to be a part of the organization, so that gives us access to all the materials. And you have to be a member in order to attend the conference, but the conference is a separate entity which requires a registration as well. I think the PESH group, it was similar. They had a membership fee and a registration. Our membership fee, typically it is $60 per person. That is a typical member. However, we are able to get it for $20 per person as a student discount and as a group discount. So we have taken $40 off per person, which is pretty great.
I was just curious, the baggage.
Yes.
Is that the actual equipment that you guys are bringing?
Yeah, so either a suitcase or an instrument, just because we have that additional item that we're going to be actually taking on the planes. That is it's scary to put instruments under planes. I just traveled to Sonoma with the wind ensemble, and it was crazy because we had 50 kids with instruments.
Any further questions? Thank you. We'll vote on this next week.
Thank you so much.
Moving into voting on supplemental funding request, 1840, the Shape America National Convention in the amount of $8,489.80. Table's open for discussion.
Should I give any of the background on why we're voting on this after the fact or anything like that?
Okay, Alex?
And I think they were here tonight.
I think Alex has something to say, possibly.
Yeah, okay, so the Shape America convention, we're hearing this after the fact, and I'll say take the fall on this one. This one's a student government issue. They came to student government and were told they were going to be helped, but it never reached either myself or Lacey, so they were under the impression that they were going to be on the agenda for the majority of winter quarter, but it just obviously never happened, and so when they showed up, they thought they were already on the agenda. So we're hearing this after the fact because this is a student government problem. We were at fault for this, so we're taking the full blame for this, and it's not fair to not allow funding to an organization when it wasn't their fault that it didn't come in. So that's why we're hearing it after the fact. Just on a separate note on the actual event though, the biggest thing that I always look for in this, because this is what I believe these are for, and this is, like I said, personal opinion on this, job opportunities are huge. This is what we go to school for. This is what we're here for. And the fact that he's sitting there and saying that he has 6 job opportunities from going to this one conference is something that I personally think makes the value of this. I think for a job, $8,000 for that many, for 15 students is nothing. Like, that means so much. Anyway.
Eric?
I'd like to make a motion for the full amount of $8,489.80 for the Shape America National Convention.
Motion in full amount. Maddie is second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the full amount. Moving on to other business communications received. Haven't received anything. Moving on to public comment, second call. Any public comment at this time from our committee only?
Hope you all had
Maybe
a
us
great spring
left
break.
us.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Reminder, and we'll send this out, the meetings are at 6 o'clock the rest of the quarter.
Thank you.
And even though you have the calendars, we do not meet the week of Source, and we do dinner that very last meeting as the end of the year wrap up.
Aww.
And the blooper.
Like we.
Oh, yeah. And we'll go through the blooper.
You ever thought blooper
Wait,
roll?
serious?
I didn't know this when I signed up.
So my nasally voice is gonna
No,
be
I'm
out.
I've always wanted to do
As long as
it.
I thought you guys were starting something new.
We watched the blooper afterwards.
I was like, who gets that job sitting
Once all the members are
I move to
old
adjourn
enough
the
to
meeting.
drink. Oh yeah.
Motion
go
to
outside
adjourn the
wine
meeting.
and just go
Maddie
through
seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're adjourned at 7:05.